Gold and silver, people don't understand that it's breaking out. Gold bugs are stunned. They don't know that this is real. They look at the gold price. Okay, let's wait for the next slam down. Okay, it's not happening. Gold's going higher. They do not believe this is real. It's amazing. So when gold really does make its move, you're going to see the gold bugs awaken. You're going to see Wall Street awaken. You're just going to see this huge crowd rush into it, and that'll be the hot market. It's not going to be crypto. It's going to be precious metals. Crypto already had his big run.
StockPulse.com. We are on location, the Vancouver Resource Investment Conference 2023, and I've got Peter Spina here. He runs goldseek and silverseek. It's been quite a while since I've seen you in person, so good to see you, Peter.
It's great to see you in person, Rob. 3 long years, unfortunately.
3 long years, wow. Well, is it getting any better? Or I think the first thing we talked about was the echo of war. What are you thinking?
Well, yeah, the last 3 years, a lot has changed. Not just the whole monetary inflation issue, but I think one of the biggest themes right now is the war in Ukraine, which is not so isolated anymore in Ukraine. It is expanding. It's becoming a global war. We saw Iran attacked yesterday. And the war is also being fought in different levels: monetary, financial, economic. And this is a direct confrontation between the West and Russia, which is extremely dangerous, which has a lot of implications. And we're seeing the world being divided into 2 camps, which is forcing them to make some very important and big decisions. So it's accelerating a lot of timelines. I think it's making some really big, forcing some really big, quick moves. And gold is a big part of what is a big part of what's happening. It's going to influence what's going to happen going forward. So,
yeah, I think anytime you talk about the word war, it's or anything. I guess there's a million headlines that could inflate gold and silver, but that's one good one. But let's talk about digital currency, because that could come of this. How's that bake into your cake here as far as what you guide on metals?
Yeah, well, the digital currency, we already in a way have a digital currency. So look at what happened, the war. What happened with the Russian central bank? Just like that, $300 billion gone. It's all digital already for them, unless you have physical cash, and I think they had $10 billion in physical cash. $300 billion, you can lose it like that. So when the digital currencies come around, it's a good example of how things can be controlled. You can be controlled very easily. Your wallet, your digital currency, everything can be controlled. It is scary, a way to control us, and it's a real reduction of our freedom, and it is another level of control on the monetary side as well. I hate it. I think it's a huge loss of freedom and privacy and rights, and I'm really concerned how it will be used. And we may be getting to that point where they'll try to introduce it, especially if there's another financial, economic crisis. They'll give everyone a wallet. Here's some money. Go spend it. And here you are. Let's get
them used to loose spending and stolen transactions and all that. Wow. So yeah, I mean, is there any time frame you have in your head? I mean, maybe you make a case to be a hell of a silver or gold stacker right now.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking for financial privacy, monetary privacy, to get off the grid, gold is the way to go. And it's interesting because I just read this book about gold confiscation in 1933 when FDR announced the gold confiscation. If you had your money or your gold money in the bank, it got confiscated. You had no choice. They came in and took it. Private citizen-wise, only 5% of that gold privately held was turned in. It's so hard to track all of it. It's decentralized, it's anonymous, and it's a great way to preserve and hide the wealth because governments are broke. They're getting more desperate. There will be a sovereign government bond crisis, and then they're going to have to go after the people who have money and wealth. So you have to do things to protect yourself. Gold confiscation, or maybe not full-out gold confiscation, but a tax on it, or prevent you from buying gold or selling it easily. So you want to find different ways to hold it, and how you do that. There's a lot of things to consider right now, capital control-wise as well. So it's it's accelerating right now, and time frame next few years we're going to have another issue, another crisis, and then what? The next crisis will be the crisis where all these other problems that have been building really come to a head. We're already seeing this last crisis through COVID, the price inflation issue. They're already having a problem containing it. So it's just building and building, and they're not fixing the underlying problems. It just builds and builds and builds. And yeah, the debt globally is what, 300 and some trillion dollars, 350% of the debt to GDP ratio numbers. Nothing gets better. It just gets worse and worse and worse, and all those issues aren't getting resolved. Again, they will get resolved, and when they do get resolved, it's not going to be pretty. And for the people who have been prudent, who have been saving, trying to protect themselves, be careful. We saw what happens under COVID, how governments act, how mentality of other people act. If they're personal rights, all these things, they just get thrown out the window. So it's a good time to take action and not just protect yourself from inflation, but from other issues as well.
So here, I'll put you on the spot a little bit here. If you're looking at new investor here, looking at gold, maybe some crypto, Bitcoin, whatever, make the case for gold over the cryptos.
Well, crypto does well when there's a lot of money floating around and people are willing to speculate and play that game. And I find crypto to be an extremely high-risk speculative game, which doesn't have the fundamentals to back its valuations. So why would I want to take that huge risk when I could buy silver, which has as much, if not more, upside, and actual has a lot less of a downside. It has a real-life use. It's needed. Crypto's not needed. It might be an alternative to a payment network, but it's not being used. Bitcoin doesn't work unless you use another network, which reduces its privacy and has other issues. So I don't know. To me, there's a lot of hopium. There's a lot, there are a few things I do like crypto for capital control reasons, to use a decentralized network to move things around. That's fine, but it's not what they sell it as. It's not money. It's not an asset that you store value in. It's like holding a share of PayPal. Is that a way to store value? Well, if they do well, it looks great, but when things, it's not money. It's not gold. It's absolutely not gold in many different ways, or silver. So I find crypto to be extremely speculative. There's a lot of hopium. There's a lot of hype. It's very centralized in how it's manipulated, the price-wise, and there's a lot of leverage in there, and we're seeing the fraud now being exposed. So careful, very careful. Don't run back into it. I think this last rally we saw is a sucker's rally. 24,000 Bitcoin right now. Sure, it could go to 25 to 30,000, but it could go right back down to 15,000. It could go to 10,000 and under. So I think retail crowd is getting suckered back into it. No, gold and silver, people don't understand that it's breaking out. Gold bugs are stunned. They don't know that this is real. They look at the gold price. Okay, let's wait for the next slam down. Okay, it's not happening. Gold's going higher. They do not believe this is real. It's amazing. So when gold really does make its move, you're going to see the gold bugs awaken. You're going to see Wall Street awaken. You're just going to see this huge crowd rush into it, and that'll be the hot market. It's not going to be crypto. It's going to be precious metals. Crypto already had his big run. It's in the process of collapsing. It's got to get rid of all this excess. It's got to get rid of all these altcoins that have hundreds of millions of dollars in market cap with no business models, with no actual use, just a bunch of good marketing. It's to me, it's pretty obvious what the risks are there.
All right, so I guess let's hit one more topic here. Junior mining, very speculative, but boy, talk about leverage, talk about returns. If you can find the right ones, it's so hard. This market has been asleep. Is it going to wake up this year?
We are seeing it wake up. It's starting. We're starting to see the first moves off the bottom, and what a horrible bottom it has been. We've seen this market collapse by 60, 70, 80, 90% for some of these companies. Their share values have been crushed, so it's not going to take a lot for them to get moving. Right now, I think with this first initial move, the miners are going to get, and they're reacting first. They've also been crushed, and then the juniors are going to start following. So once we break 2,000, 2,100, that's the gates open, and then there's just going to be a rush in. And there, it's such a small sector. It's not going to take much to push the share prices back up. There's going to be a huge amount of capital inflow into the junior sector, and if this is indeed the bottom in gold, which I believe it is, this isn't going to get much cheaper. You may have a little bit of a correction coming up in the sector, but I don't think right now you're going to get really short, quick corrections, and it's going to move to the next high. So you buy the dips, You accumulate while you can, and you try to buy before the crowd rushes back in. Be selective. Go after the companies that have the right management with the good assets. And there's a lot of choices out there. Actually, I find it hard to actually select. There's a lot of great opportunities. Some are better than others, but things are so dirt cheap that it's
a lot of risk is gone.
It is. It's a very low risk and a lot of upside potential. So if the market, gold is still market moving, boy, you're going to see 3, 5x's, 10x's on a lot of these companies, and it's not going to take gold 5,000 to happen. Gold 2,400, 2,700. You're going to see these companies, these miners go 3, 5x. You're going to see the juniors do 5 to 10x's, and the sector is starving for new deposits. It's looking for more things. The miners need to replenish their reserves, and exploration has been severely underfunded. We haven't seen enough development work take place. You get these small little windows in these cycles, and that money comes in and it closes off. So you don't really get enough to keep things flowing and for these deposits to be found and developed. So the companies that do have some nice projects that do have a more advanced stage or some work done on it with some nice resources, they're sitting in a beautiful position. Again, there's some ones trading for 5, 10, 20 million market caps that are just, it's not going to take much to really send those through the roof. So I like the potential we're seeing in the market right now. But again, it's I want to say that one cautious thing is, you might get a liquidity event in the markets, and it could drag us down too briefly. But I think the difference this time is anything you see a sell-off wise in the precious metal sectors, it'll snap right back. So it's not bad to have some dry powder, but at this point, I think it's better to be in the market and get in before now the crowd realizes what's happening, and they're starting to wake up right now. I mean, gold at 1,900 plus. Yeah, people are stunned. They just don't understand. How could we gone from 1,600 to 1,900? Wall Street Journal said gold is no longer a safe haven asset a few months ago. They're laughing at it. Yeah, we're seeing record central bank gold buying.
They always laugh.
We have all sorts of things coming into play. We have stagflation risk, which is the best environment, situation for gold. So it's very easy to be excited here. We've had a couple rough years. We saw the reaction to COVID by central banks, and gold did run. It ran really quickly right away from low 1,000s to 2,000, and then everyone else was chasing the other bubbles: crypto, stocks, bonds, everything except for precious metals. This is reversing now. There's not going to be many games in town, and it'll be really amazing to see precious metals as few sectors that stand out, that's doing well. Commodities and precious metals. The rest of the sectors, they're overvalued. There's not a really good fundamental case. So that could really turn the sector into a bubble. Valuations may overshoot themselves, and I would watch out for that potential as well.
Should be on the other foot at that point. Wow.
Yeah.
Bubble in this market. Peter, how do people follow you?
Active on Twitter at goldseek, and then on goldseek.com and silverseek.com. You can find some of my ideas.
All right. That's Peter Spina, goldseek, silverseek.com. Good to see you.
Likewise, Rob.